One more. Let us watch when a killer gets manipulated into confessing.
Custody, you're free to leave. So just want to make sure we're clear on that.
Oh,
I appreciate you coming in. And
Yes, sir.
I can imagine that you were probably getting tired of telling the story over and over and over again. But I would kind of like to start when you first met Michelle, because I know there's a lot of history there.
Right.
This is Mark Castellano, currently being interrogated at the
White
Houston
Arrow
Police Department for the missing case of Michelle Warner, his ex-girlfriend. Michelle met Mark when they both worked for the same medical firm in 2008. Michelle, who was already a single mother, had her second child with Mark a year after they met. Just a few months after Caden was born, Mark ended the relationship. When she found permanent employment at a law firm in 2012, she decided to ask Mark if he would agree to an arrangement. The arrangement involved her and Caden moving in with him, and Mark could help raise his son. They would live together, but not as a couple, just as Caden's parents. He agreed. That day, the 24th of September, Michelle never arrived at work, and her employer contacted her several times, but their calls went unanswered. That same day, Michelle's ex-husband contacted her brother, Dave Chiffon, to let him know that Michelle did not collect her daughter. David called Michelle, and when he got no answer, he called Mark. Mark informed David that on the night of Saturday, September 22nd, he had an argument with Michelle, which led to her leaving. What concerned Mark even more was the fact that Michelle didn't take her car, and most worryingly, left behind their child, Caden. Mark confessed to David that he had no knowledge of Michelle's whereabouts. As a result, Michelle was officially reported missing, prompting the police to conduct a welfare check on Tuesday, September 25th. Unfortunately, Michelle was not found at her apartment. During the inspection, the authorities noticed the absence of hard drives from the computers, but no evidence indicated that Michelle had suffered any harm. Detectives noticed that Mark left a note for Michelle on the mirror in the bathroom, which read, "Caden and I are gone. You can have the apartment all to yourself. I am taking the car. Since you can't pay it, and I now owe my dad $3,000 because of you, get it refinanced through your rich daddy and get my name off it. You are welcome to see Caden, but since you are on a drug-filled weekend, I guess you won't call since Grandma called and said you'd turned your phone off. I will get you drug tested this time." Back in the interrogation room, Mark begins by
You see the sensor go away for like half a second there?
Get you drug tested this time. Back in the interrogation room,
this is the
Mark
asshole.
begins by describing Michelle in a negative way.
When she gets mad, she's violent. She'll hit you. She thinks she has the right to.
Subtle.
She'll sit there and tell you where she's raised. You know, man has to take up crap. She's a pretty girl and she gets everything she wants. She has a princess attitude.
Wow. Is she using any kind of drugs at that time that
I'm
you're
tired,
aware
bro.
of?
I was going to play games after this, but this might be my last thing today.
Yet?
Adderall.
It's been 6 hours.
Which is treating her for what?
ADHD.
Okay.
And
shout out.
hydrocodone, 10/325.
Damn.
And she, you know, getting to know me, she said, "Well, you were in a car accident. You could go get some for me." It gets pretty bad for a great while. The pill demand work. Starting to notice that I'm changing. You know, she's having me do a lot of things. Hey, we have an extra computer.
But needs
Take
the
one from
channel?
the
Yeah,
company.
probably.
I need one for my
I
brother.
wouldn't see why not.
Or, hey, I need you to get me something like this.
So she's basically asking you to steal now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
And of course I do it.
Okay.
I did it.
Well, you're invested in this relationship.
Right. She pretty much at this point
Admits to crime.
Mark has crafted a detailed facade portraying himself as the helpless victim in this relationship. Despite the detective's doubts about Mark's stories, it is necessary to pretend sympathy and compassion during the interview.
Yeah, despite his extremely calm tone,
confession from him.
even though he's admitting to be a victim.
Let's get to last
I feel like it's a very
the 22nd.
emotional moment to admit that out
As soon as I
loud.
open the door, it's like a battle zone. And the first thing she says is, "He gets into the sugar and dumps it everywhere. You left it somewhere, blah, blah, blah." And it just goes on and on. I said something about you take too many pills, you can't watch Caden or something. I said, you know, and she's like, well, what are, you know, you sorry, you know? She's like, and she just walked up and she's like, by the way, you better clean it up right. And at that time she walked up to me and just hit me like that.
Now, are you standing? What are you
I'm like
doing?
this. There's a desk right here.
Uppercut.
I'm on my, like this, picking up stuff.
Are you in the living room?
Yeah, this is very innocent
Those two spots on that
behavior.
Yeah, on a computer desk.
by the computer desk. There's that hallway, and right there by the leg, I'm over there reaching, picking up stuff. And by that time I turn, I see her come up, and then when she comes up close to me, and I see her arm swing, I put my head like that. She hits me like that.
Up underneath you?
Yeah,
Yep, very normal.
It wasn't hard or anything. I'm used to it at this point.
Sure. And what's your
Embellishment of a memory is often used to navigate and make a lie more believable, by the way. Not a guarantee, but this is not uncommon.
Walks out, slams the door to her room. And about 10, 15 minutes later, I open the door to say, well, you know what? And she's gone. Well,
Where's Caden?
she's in his room hiding.
So you think
Brom,
Michelle's been screaming?
thanks for the raid as well.
Yeah,
Reacts
definitely.
the way he
Definitely.
does.
We're watching
Because the one time I
crime.
got her-
Does she curse at him?
Yes. She sat there and got in his face one time.
We're watching crime. I have a criminology degree. I watch true crime. Be careful. Thank you for the raid, though, Crumb. I hope your stream was good.
And she's on here like this. I get on my knees.
Go ahead.
And he's
My
sitting
God.
there and shaking his little hand. And she's sitting there grabbing him. And don't you ever, you're going to turn out to be a sorry piece of crap like your daddy. You sorry mother little. And at that point, I came over to her and pushed her like that. She caught herself. And I said, get up. Don't
And I
do that.
pushed him.
With a foundation of trust established, the detective has successfully put Mark at ease, eliminating any sense of threat.
What a convincing story,
Now,
Mark.
the
Let's see how it
detective
plays
switches
out.
tactics, directly accusing Mark of harming Michelle, but
Yep.
framing it in a way that justifies Mark's actions as protecting his son. This
Smart.
approach makes it easier for Mark to confess to the murder, as he believes he was doing the right thing, rather than acting out of evil or selfish motives.
My heart goes out to you, man, because what you have put up with for 3 years of your little boy's life, I very much appreciate and understand your feelings about your son.
Right.
I have a son. He's
Right.
27 years old now, so I get it. This
Right.
is about Caden.
Mhm.
So whatever did happen in the apartment between you and Michelle, that's resulted in her now disappearing. We'll use that word for lack of a better term.
Right.
It's my impression that what that was about, what that argument was about, what that confrontation was about last weekend, it wasn't about you wanting to hurt Michelle. It was about your love for Kate. And it was about your burden
Right. Yeah. I'm
about protecting.
Why does this interrogation room have
Right,
like
people that
content
you take care of.
creator
Exactly.
soundproofing on it, by the way?
The detective has skillfully employed a psychological technique known as the good choice, bad choice method.
That's
This
true.
method presents Mark with only two options, forcing him to make a decision. On one hand, there is a good choice, his unwavering love for his son, Caden. On the other hand, there is the bad choice, harbouring ill intentions towards Michelle. Mark is inclined to favour and gravitate towards one narrative, typically the one that paints him in the most innocent light. This technique exploits Mark's natural inclination to protect his innocence and amplifies the chances of him aligning with the desired narrative.
Very smart.
Whatever happened between you and Michelle.
Actual
in the course of
science?
Cursing at you, slapping
go.
you in the face, hitting you while you're on your knees on the ground, picking up stuff that she has directed you to do. That was just the straw that broke the camel's back. And now Mark is in protective mode for Caden. This is not happening anymore. Michelle is not going to harm my son anymore, either emotionally or physically.
Oh, yeah, so true. His arms are
verbally,
crossed,
or
though.
in any way, shape, or form, and I am going to have to resolve the problem now.
Wait
This
a
is the
minute.
opportunity to talk about all those things, because you've told me You've already told me. You've laid
Tristan!
the groundwork for what happened in that
Oh
apartment.
boy, I sure.
And I'm
Thanks for
on
the
board
50,
with you.
baby.
This isn't about trying to make Mark look like a bad guy. I'm telling you, I could not. I'm listening to your story, man, and I almost want to cry for you. I mean, I just can't imagine the stress and the pressure put on you because of the love you have for Kate when you watch this woman continually berate him and treat
He's
him
smiling,
so
yeah.
terribly because she's doing the same thing.
You really thinking he's getting
She's
away
doing
with
it
it?
for 3 years, and you're an adult.
Mark is now in a situation where he feels cornered.
Yup.
He has two choices: confess or stop talking and ask for a lawyer.
The officer really pushes him into a corner. It's really smart. This is really smart because that officer is basically admitting that he knows something happened and that he did it. I mean, I'm explaining what he already explained with the psychological thing, but he's basically making Mark admit to the crime by explaining the crime in a better light, by explaining that Michelle died because he was protecting his son, and that's very rightful and just. This is all quotations, by the way. That's not actually stuff like that. He's showing his hand to Mark. He's giving his hand to Mark and showing the information that he knows, and he's admitting the information that he knows, but he's painting it in this picture that makes Mark's crime seem justified. And so he's forcing Mark to either adopt that narrative, thinking it's going to be the best way to go about it for the police, or to deny it and to lawyer up. It's a really, really good tactic. He's not even serving it up to him on a silver platter. He's serving it up to him on a gilded platter because that's fake gold, baby. That is a platter called jail. It's a very smart picture to paint because they're basically forcing him to be like, well, you know what? There's no way he's going to lawyer up here, right? He's going to put himself into this narrative and accept it. But either way, he's admitting to this murder, and that's all the police need to really press him. Because even though the police are saying that right now during this interview, that's not necessarily what they're going to end up saying or going with. They're just going to do this to make him admit it, and then that's all they need to prosecute him.
Michelle did not walk out of that apartment. She did not walk out of that apartment. We both know it. We both know the circumstances under which whatever did happen, happened. I'm not wanting you to explain to me that you wanted to hurt Michelle. I want you to explain to me what you felt like you had to do to protect Kate.
Very smart, actually.
So I want you to be honest with me and tell me what happened.
She got up, and I got up,
There it is. Told you.
and she's getting dressed, and she's finishing up,
It's a great tactic.
and she's still yelling, and Katie's hiding. I grabbed her and I broke her neck.
That's
Told me I was a sorry and that
physically not possible.
she was going to control me the rest of my life, and I grabbed her by her neck, and and just went threw her on the bed. And
So she's facing you.
yeah, and I heard it pop, and then her tongue up, it popped out.
It's
and
just not.
that was it.
Okay.
I mean, I sit there and held it, and the time I realized what I did, she was dead.
That's just not how any of this
Look at me,
works.
Mom. Look at me.
I'm sorry.
Um,
Give me the death penalty. That's fine.
look,
I deserve it.
Mark. Look, I'm proud of you.
My life is over with anyway.
Your life's not over with, Mark.
It's real
Show me
smart,
where
man.
she
I'm actually
is.
impressed by that.
Mike, here's the bed.
It's a really good technique.
Here's a closet. Here's that door going to outside.
Okay.
I walked in, and that's when I grabbed her, and then I threw her on the bed right there.
I know this is painful, but I wanted you to demonstrate for Brian what happened.
Oh my God.
Push her, and then grab her, and then
Okay.
fall down on the fall.
I know you're not going to do it because I got my brother Phil here to help me out. All right.
And then I sit there.
And then what did she do?
Well, when she fell
Oh,
down, I heard
man.
it, and then her tongue stuck out, and I just was.
police obtained surveillance footage from outside the apartment complex. He was seen on the footage.
That's I'm impressed, man.
Monday morning, the 24th of September.
Very impressed by that.
At 3:21 a.m., Mark dragged a large container to Michelle's car.
Oh, okay, Chris
he
Watts.
made several trips back and forth to the car at 5:41
okay, Chris Watts.
and then left at 6 a.m.
Yeah, I've seen that one
Police
before.
searched the area around Mark's parents' home and found a number of items in a dumpster.
Guys,
they found a Pampers box, Mark's business cards, sunglasses, Michelle's credit card which had been cut up, and clothing, as well as a wad of black tape. During Mark's sentencing phase, his lawyer argued that his case was one of sudden passion. Sudden passion can be raised as a mitigating factor during the punishment phase of the trial in Texas. It cannot be used as a defense to murder. Jurors had to decide whether Mark was provoked to such a level of
It would
fear,
just change the
rage,
degree
or
of murder.
resentment that any reasonable person in a similar situation with an ordinary temper simply would not be able to keep their cool. If Mark was successful in this argument, it would mean that the maximum punishment for murder is reduced from life in prison to 20 years. And he could be sentenced to as little as 2 years.
Yeah, it'd turn into a manslaughter charge.
The jury did not find Mark's case was a case of sudden passion. He was sentenced to 27 years.
Damn.
He will be eligible for parole in 2026.
Oh, shit. Pretty soon. That's impressive, man. I mean, you guys know how I feel about police, but, you know, that's a really good tactic for the situation. Props to that detective.